Oh, who is this cute little boy? That's me. My name's Brandon, and I'm an aspiring animator. I'll definitely make an intro that's even more cringy than that in the future, but stay tuned. Now, you've read the title, but I feel like in order for you to take in what I'm saying as someone who knows what they're talking about, I think it's important that you know a little more than just the past 3 years. So, around 6 years ago, I decided I wanted to be an animator. One of my best friends at the time introduced me to anime, and I realized that I knew what anime was, but I didn't know what anime was. Know what I'm saying? Like, I used to hate on anime. Like, I was like, dude, I'm too cool for that shit. And now I got all these posters on my wall, and I fucking jerk off to hentai. But yeah, around this time, I was a senior in high school, and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my future. I was doing bad in school, and all I really did was play video games all day. So when my friend did show me what anime was, I remember I had all these fantasies in my head and all these ideas that I really wanted to share. And as cliche as it sounds, I really wanted to create my own anime. I had all these ideas that I wanted to share, and that was when I decided I wanted to be an animator so I could bring my ideas to life. When I started my art journey, I joined this community called Hyun's Dojo, and I started with fixed stick figure animation. And after I did that for a while, I wanted to try full body animation, and that was when I realized just how little I understood about animation. I was trying to find shortcuts and make works before even understanding the fundamentals. So for about 2 months, I just became a hermit and just studied animation. There was this one animator, a part of Hyun's Dojo, named Andrew Bepler, and he had so many tutorials on his channel, and I remember watching like so many of them, and these were like hour-long tutorials. But dude, like, motherfucker, dude, your boy was trying to get good. After spending that time learning and practicing, I thought I was good enough to start building my social media, so I made this one video titled Thank You Bepler, and it's my most viewed video. It has like 1,000 views. I'm fucking famous. It was around this time when I started to get inspired by the YouTuber Domix, and I wanted to make storytime videos just like him. I was a second year in community college at this time, and it was also around this time when I realized just how bad my drawing was. Growing up, I was never that kid who fucking drew all the time, and I was never that kid who drew in their notebook during class, cause like, motherfucker, I was doing what you were supposed to do in class. Fucking sleep. Yeah, so when I started animating, I thought I could get away with my shitty drawing if my animating was good enough. But, well, my animating wasn't good enough. So throughout my third year of community college, I spent a lot of time trying to learn how to draw, which I now know I was doing incorrectly, and I did more animation exercises. At the end of that third year of community college, I remember creating what I thought was my best work at the time. It was a fan animation for the game Bravely Default, and I was very proud of it. But my drawing, though. So for those of you who don't draw, dude, learning how to draw is so fucking hard, man. Like, I will never understand people who just draw for a hobby. Like, I can only catch when you motherfuckers drawing for a hobby. Like, just the thought of that just makes me so angry, dude. So remember when I said I was learning how to draw incorrectly? Yeah, so in everything you do, there's the fundamentals. Like in basketball, dude, I don't even know why I brought up basketball. I don't even play basketball. Anything you do, there's the fundamentals. And when you're learning how to do it, the most basic thing and the first thing you should probably learn are the fundamentals. But yeah, when it came to drawing, I never learned that stuff. I was too busy trying to find shortcuts with my shitty circle heads and arms with fucking nubs for hands. And if you're wondering, what about the art classes in community college? Dude, I love some of my teachers, but all we did were draw still lifes and just do projects. Like, it wasn't really anything you could learn from. But yeah, so at the end of my third year of community college, I realized that my drawing was not on par with my animating. So as someone who, wants to do 2D animation, drawing is pretty important. So I thought that the thing I needed to do was to take a small break from animating and focus more on my drawing. So I did that for a couple months, and then I moved because I got accepted into a 4-year university. And this is where the last 3 years of my life starts. So prior to moving out, I had a clear goal in my mind. I was going to continue building my social media. I was going to network with more artists and basically just continue building my career as an animator. But at the time, I was very ignorant to just life and people. You know, growing up, I was a little more on the sheltered side. So when I did move out, it was basically like entering a whole new world. During my first year at university, I was recruited to join this club, and because of this club, my social circle fucking blew up. Like, I met more people because of this club than I've met in my entire life before moving out. And somewhere along meeting all these people, I lost myself. When I first started university, I told myself I was going to graduate in 2 years. But at the end of my first semester, my GPA was 0.9 and my highest grade was a fucking C. That's not the part that hurts the most. I didn't produce a single animation throughout that time, and my drawing was still shit because I didn't practice. I thought I was going to bounce back the next semester, but during that break until the next semester, I decided to move in with some people from the club because it was going to be cheaper. But the living situation sounded a lot better than it actually was. Let me tell you about this living situation. This house I moved into was specifically for club activities, and I was living in a living room that was split into 2 rooms by curtains, so I had no fucking door. I had no privacy, and I felt obligated to hang out with all these people that would come over, and that was when I started getting depressed. I couldn't focus on anything, and my grades were they were so bad. Like, my animating was still shit, and I was still drawing like a fucking 3rd grader. Prior to moving out, I felt like I had everything that I needed. You know, I had a community, I had friends I could talk to, and, you know, I had clear goals in my mind, but somewhere I lost all of it. Even when my living situation got better and I moved into one of the rooms, as opposed to being in the living room, I still felt so lost. You know, I remember, like, at night, I never wanted to sleep, and when I did go to sleep, I never wanted to wake up, because when you wake up, that's when you have to deal with life. And I felt so trapped. I remember not being able to watch anime. Like, I'm not talking about, like, physically not being able to, but I mean, like, I could not find joy when I would watch anime. And that hurt so much because it was the thing that inspired me so much at the start of my journey. And now, I couldn't find joy in it. Like, what was the point of me doing all this, you know? During the beginning of my 2nd year at university, the lease for our house was it was coming to an end, so we had to find a new house. And this was a point in my life where I just get straight long dick styled by people that I considered to be close friends. I was told that because I was the newest member moving into the house, I was in charge of the house. You know, I never would have moved in had I been told this before, but I had no choice anymore. You know, I wasn't from the area, so I didn't have a place I could go home to. So the only option I had was to help us find a new house. And when the lease did end, I didn't find it in time. So I remember that week when the lease did end, motherfucker, dude. The other housemates that lived with me, a couple days before the lease ended, they had all their stuff packed and left. So I had to take care of everything by myself. And I remember just being so pissed, man. But, like, I didn't know what to do. And I remember the night when the lease did end, I had all my things packed, and I was in my car, and I was driving, and I had no idea where I was going. Thankfully, some of the people I was closer to in the club, they let me stay with them. But, you know, aside from them, I was homeless. I went from having everything I needed to having nothing. But, like, you know, with every dark cloud, there's the silver lining, or a rainbow at the end of the tunnel, or however the saying goes. But somehow throughout this time, I actually started to draw more again. You know, I didn't have a home, so I would go to cafes and, you know, mooch off their free Wi-Fi, because, dude, like, I was still a college student, man. I still had to do stuff. I needed internet. So yeah, I remember going to cafes and just using their Wi-Fi, and I would draw more. And I remember it was around this time when I started learning about the Loomis method for drawing heads, and I started getting a little better figure drawing. Dude, I should have just stayed homeless, man. What the heck? So then a little bit before the winter break, I ended up finding a new house for us, and then things started to look good. But then I got depressed again. So there's this YouTuber I watch named Jimmy Zhang, and he has these videos where he interviews random people on the street. And for one of these videos, there was a girl from my high school that was in there, and he plugged her Instagram, and then I got curious to see how she was doing. So I looked at her Instagram, and she graduated from an Ivy League college and was doing phenomenal in life. And then I looked at myself. Now, I know people say not to compare yourself to others, but in a situation like that, like, dude, how could you not? I was an artist that could barely perform, and she was thriving. Like, I felt like literal trash, and all of a sudden, like, I just felt like I had so much to do that I didn't know what to do. Like, dude, my mentality was completely destroyed. Like, I listened to Logic's 1-800-27 through whatever the suicide hotline is. I listened to that song so many times, and I remember getting so pissed off every time the happy ending would come where he says, I finally want to be alive, because, dude, motherfucker, at the time I did not want to be alive. I just needed someone to resonate with my goddamn depression. I put so much time and energy into club activities and people that didn't really matter, and when I tried to take a step back, it was met with a bunch of negative reaction. And at the time, I lacked the self-confidence to stand up for myself. This went on for several months until it reached a point where every little thing would push me over the edge. There was one day where I went to school and I couldn't find parking. Now this isn't anything uncommon. Like, college parking, it's pretty fucking awful, okay? But that day I was so on edge. I couldn't find parking for 10 minutes. So I went back home and I cried. I felt so destroyed. And I remember it took every fiber of my body to pick up my phone and call the one person I thought could help. I called one of my best friends from San Diego, and I remember the moment she answered, I just started bawling. Like, I'm so thankful that she was able to understand what I was going through and help me get through that moment. It was around this time of my life where I really wanted to get my life back on track. So what I did was I vlogged myself for about a month, and I titled those vlogs literally Getting My Life Back on Track. And it was around this time when I was able to take a step back and finally focus on myself. Things were starting to look a little better. My drawing went up to a 4th grade level, and not finding parking didn't want to make me want to slip my fucking wrists. But anyone who's hit such a point in their life can tell you that, you know, your life just doesn't keep going up from there. It's a constant roller coaster. You know, as many ups as you have, you're gonna have that many downs. You just have to make sure to catch yourself before you fall too much. But for the next couple of months, I do my best to focus on myself, and this is when the living situation comes into play. So the house I found was ultimately for club activities, and club members would pay for some utilities, and that meant they could come whenever they wanted. I'm a very routine person when it comes to having a productive day. Like, I'm the most productive when I have my day scheduled out or when I have a set routine. But living in this house, it was absolutely impossible to have a set routine. These motherfucking people would come at 4 in the morning, and you'd think they'd be considerate about the people living there, but no, they're really not, you know? Now, why didn't I tell these people to quiet down? Well, that's because I was too much of a bitch. I still wanted these people in this community to like me, and I felt like if I hindered them having fun, they wouldn't like me as much. So I let these people push me until I hit a breaking point, and I realized that I have to move out. Now, why didn't I move out sooner? Well, that's because I couldn't discipline myself to do that. You know, the rent here was cheap, and I was the one that found the house, so some part of me felt like I deserved it. When I brought up wanting to keep the house for myself and finding my own housemates, I was portrayed as some villain, even though I planned on paying the club back the deposit so they could find their own house again. But once again, I lacked the self-confidence to defend my point, and I just ended up deciding on moving. So here we are, a couple of mistakes later, and I'm in a new house, hoping to start this chapter of my life the right way. So, what is my advice to you as someone who's wasted the past 3 years of their life? Well, there are going to be times in your life where you're going to have to say fuck everyone and do what's best for you and only you. Now, I know some people are going to say that's selfish, but what the fuck is wrong with being selfish? What good does putting others that you don't really care about before you do? If you want to help other people, that's great, but do it when you're able to. How can you help other people when you can't even help yourself? Now, I'm not saying to literally only think about yourself and disregard other people, because that's just being a fucking asshole. If you're driving and someone's trying to get into your lane, dude, just let them in. If you see someone drop their things, fucking help them. Don't completely disregard other people, but like most importantly, don't completely disregard yourself. Maybe if I was able to put myself before others and do what was best for me, maybe the past 3 years of my life would have been different. But I wasn't able to do that. Jesus, it just took me 10 fucking minutes to give you 30 seconds of advice. So you have to subscribe or else you just wasted your time. Now my goal is still to be an animator because I got all these ideas in my head that I gotta share. So I decided that starting on December, I'm gonna start posting on the 1st and 15th of every month. So, tell your mom, tell your grandma, because I've been stuck at 10 subscribers for like the past 5 years, and I'm not trying to be homeless again. That was for the one time. That's definitely not for the 2 times. If you've been subscribed since my thank you Bethler video or watched this whole video, I'll send you some bath water. So when I'm a millionaire, you can sell it and then you can become rich. But yeah, I used to go by a different name, but this is a new chapter in my life, so I'm going by a new name, one that you probably can't even pronounce. Great marketing strategy. Let's go. And now I'm gonna go fucking watch some hentai. Thanks.